Okay, we're back here today with Jeff Litman, and the LIC concerts have been continuing. They kicked off a couple weeks ago. It's hard to believe that it's already August. We're really in the swing of things, but next up we have Jeff and his band, and we're here to talk today about what he does as a musician, how he got his start, to let people in this area that don't know about him find out everything. Every little detail.
Every last detail. All right. Let's see what I can do. I'll try to make most of it truthful.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Great. It's been a kind of a tradition here that I've been asking people what is their earliest memory of music, period. Like, going way back before they ever heard, before they ever could form opinions about genres.
Right.
Yeah, what was your earliest music memory?
Gosh, it'd probably be my parents' record collection, or maybe my older brother. So it would have been, sitting around my living room growing up, listening to, like, John Denver, or there was what was it called? Free to Be You and Me. It was like a children's record I used to listen to. My brother had Purple Rain. I remember that being on the stereo a lot. What else? Beatles, like Sgt. Pepper's and Let It Be, I think, were definitely in that collection. So I just remember kind of thumbing through their collection and putting stuff on, and me and my dog would sit in the living room and listen to records.
So where are you from originally? Or are you from New York?
No, I'm not. I grew up in Minneapolis.
Wow. What's life like in
cold
Minnesota?
Life, it's good. It's a cool town. It's a very kind of hip and artistic town.
Yeah.
Sort of liberal-minded.
Yeah.
And it was a great place to grow up. I mean, I grew up in the suburbs of Minneapolis, so not right in the city. So that was a little more of a sort of white bread kind of conservative atmosphere, but the city itself is great, and I'd go and got to see lots of music. And I used to go see the Minnesota Orchestra play a lot. I used to go to shows in town.
That's awesome.
It's a cool place to grow up.
Now, you left around like almost 10 years ago, right?
It'll be 11 years this month.
Would you say that you're like a bit of a New Yorker? Has it seeped into your...
I'm afraid to make that judgment for myself, because I know, born and bred New Yorkers are very protective of that designation. But it feels like home to me, at least.
Yeah. Well, I think if you've earned a certain kind of like resilience and impatience with everything,
right?
I'd say it's kind of seeped in a little bit to your DNA.
Right, perhaps.
Just move out of my way, old woman.
Right. There's a little bit of that.
So at some point 10 years ago, where you were as maybe like, were you writing 10 years ago?
I sort of was writing off and on throughout my life, but 10 years ago, I was focused on, that would have been, 2005. I was focused on being a classical guitar player at the time, so I wasn't really writing much at the time, and I was practicing a lot, and I had just finished, in 2002, I'd finished a degree in jazz guitar, and kind of had a disillusionment with playing jazz, and was starting to get into classical. So I spent a couple of years before coming out here for grad school, which is why I moved out here originally.
Right.
Just getting my sort of classical chops together so that I could audition for that stuff, and so I was kind of living in a practice room at the time, just playing, with the nails and the playing classical music all the time. So I didn't start writing again kind of in earnest until a little bit later.
Would you say that when you got here that your writing really started to take hold? Like
I said, I was playing just nothing but classical music from the time that I moved here through probably 07 or 08, and that's when I dove back into songwriting, which I'd done kind of as a hobby throughout my life, but never got that focused on it, but I started writing a lot then, and yeah, I mean, it's evolved and changed. I don't know to what degree New York specifically has had on that writing process, but it's you know, I guess maybe my songs have gotten a little more cynical or jaded over the years, so maybe New York has something to do with that, I suppose. Or maybe that's just living life and getting older.
Right. Coming to age, you know.
Right. Such as it is.
So, what was the first record that you put together? Like, as an artist in New York, you know, going to school and being disillusioned with jazz.
Right.
And writing these kinds of songs. Like, what was your first record, first project?
So the first record was Postscript. That was I started writing that. What sort of happened with the classical thing was that I finished a master's in classical guitar, and I kind of made some half-hearted efforts at starting a career there, and I was gonna. The idea was to sort of go continue school, get a doctorate, become a professor somewhere, and do that. But sort of a bunch of things happened in my personal life at the time that sort of scrambled my plans, and I started just writing, you know, pop and rock songs about it, because that felt like a much more sort of direct way to address things, you know, actually writing words about them instead of sort of coming up with some abstract,
right.
You know, interpretive thing with a piece of instrumental music, which is an amazing way to express yourself, but it's not quite as specific as I think I needed at the time. So I started writing, and got so kind of wrapped up in it that you know, I just didn't find myself wanting to, you know, tackle another Bach suite or another, you know, piece of gnarly 20th century, you know, classical music. And it's not that I don't love that stuff, it's just I found that there wasn't enough time in the day to do both. So I just started writing. I kind of put the classical stuff aside for what I thought would be a temporary thing, and ended up being more or less permanent. I still play a little bit when no one's listening, but
right.
And just started writing, and that became that first record, Postscript, which came out in the beginning of 2009, late 2008. It was like December. I think I put 2 different release dates on different places. Sometimes I say it came out in December of 2008, sometimes I say January of 2009, and the truth is lost to me with time. I can't remember which one is accurate.
Well, is the record available online?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can get it, you know, iTunes and Spotify and anywhere else.
The computers will remember.
The computers remember, and they've made some determination. I think I've probably listed different release dates on different platforms, but
ballpark people.
Well, yeah, it's generally the winter of 08-09 is when it came out.
Releasing music like just in 2009, you know, like the difference between then and now. It's not that many years, but it's incredible of like where like it seems like the model is going, you know, from like less tangible, you know, products that are music, like you know, how everything's becoming streaming wise, like how like moving forward, like what's your like relationship to social media and digital, the digital aspects of like that?
Tortured.
No. I mean, you have a really kind of like old school approach, you know. You were here as a performing musician from like, you know, the time before you know, the current like seamless experience of music.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, obviously CDs are not something that most people want anymore. I mean, to the extent that they want them, it's just to load them on their computer and then
if they
forget
have a CD-ROM drive.
I was just gonna say, like, because a lot of the computers don't even have the drive anymore. So, you know, we as artists still have to have something to sell at shows, to use as a promotional device to get your music out. So, for want of a better medium, the CD is still necessary, which is it can be it's a little frustrating because they're not cheap to make,
right?
And you end up with because of the way they price it, you end up with a lot more than you need, and they end up becoming like furniture in your apartment, the boxes, but you know, CDs are still part of it, and you know, some people still like to have the tangible thing. You know, you can't sign a thumb drive. You know, I suppose you can if you put a little piece of tape on it or something. But
a really small pen. Yeah,
right, really small pen. So CDs are still part of it. Streaming, you know, is necessary. It's out there. Like, you know, nobody's making any money off of that, but you know, it's how people want to hear your music, and you know, if you're in a position, you know, if you're U2 or Taylor Swift or something, you can be more selective about how people consume their music, and you can direct your audiences to wherever you want to direct them to,
right,
to a certain extent. But if you're me, you know, like, you got to put it out there where people can hear it, you know,
right,
because people say that there's a cliche that I've heard a bunch of times that piracy is not your enemy, obscurity is. So you want people to
it's a
be able
really
to hear
good
it.
statement,
Right.
Yeah.
As for social media, you know, I use it and I enjoy it to a certain extent. I see a lot of really aggressive kind of marketing that comes out on social media, which puts me off a little bit. You know, like you'll see a lot of people with like 12 hashtags on every post they put, and like you know, social media trends kind of irritate me. But you know, that part of that is just me being a kind of cranky old man that like, well, I'll use this stuff. I understand how to use this stuff, but you're not going to make me enjoy it. Or something. You know what I mean? No, but Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff is fine, and I'll use it. But I will try to use it in kind of an organic way that's not it's not too aggressively, you know, markety.
Yeah. Well, it's like kind of like a wormhole, you know, like once you get in, like it's so hard to get out, you know.
Yeah.
So I think like it's good to have that healthy distance,
right,
that you have. I have myself, but unfortunately, working in media, you have to use the media.
Sure. right. And that's the way people are consuming information now.
Exactly.
They want to go where the people are, and I get that, and it's totally cool. And it's in some ways it's amazing because you don't have to like convince some editor to feature you in their magazine or something. You know, you just put it out there.
Right. Absolutely.
You know, but there's also a lot of you know, noise that comes with that. A lot of you know, it's a cluttered place, the social media world, and to stand out amongst the clutter is the trick.
Maybe the trick is writing good music.
That may be the trick, and you know, it's interesting that's what I enjoy spending my time doing. So I try not to get too focused on the promotion of it. Sometimes, like right now, when I have a new record coming out,
which we'll get into right now,
you spend a lot of time on the promotional aspect of it, and the songwriting gets crowded out. But generally speaking, you know, I always try to make time for the music because, you know, no one's ever, you know, we were just talking before we started here about the Mark Maron podcast, and I listen to it all the time, and he's talking to, for those of you that don't know, he's talking to writers and artists and comedians and actors and stuff, and they always sort of go through the story of their life and their career and how they got started. Mm-hmm. And not once have I ever heard somebody say, like, I did this amazing Twitter campaign, or I did this awesome Facebook post, and it just launched me. You know what I mean? It's always like, I wrote this song, or I wrote this book, or I acted in this great movie. And it's the work itself that propels people to these careers. And, you know, you gotta just sort of be patient and be hopeful that the work will speak for itself. But if you're not putting your efforts and time and energy into the
the actual
into
art.
the actual art, and you're spending all your time tweeting about this, the 4 songs that you've already written, you're not going to go very far.
Well, you have a new work of art coming out.
And
I would love to know, like, what went into that,
Yeah, it's an EP, which is industry speak for short record. It's 6 songs, 3 of which have been out as singles at one time or another, but they've never been sort of packaged into a record, and 3 are brand new. I just put out a video for a song called That's On You, which is the first song on the record, and the EP is officially out this coming Tuesday, August 18th.
That's awesome.
But I will have some available for early purchase at the LIC show on the 16th. So if you want to have the record before anybody else,
that's amazing.
That's the place to get it.
So you're performing August 16th. Around what time do you go on? Because I know you're kind of helping set up an opener.
Yeah, so there's hopefully an opener. I won't mention who that is until it's confirmed.
Yeah. Mystery.
Mystery opener.
Mystery opener.
And then I think we should, so that'll start at 5, and Jason tells me we'll be on 5:45, 6, something like that. In that window.
That's okay. That's great. Have you ever performed outside, like in a public space like that?
Yeah, I have. Just off and on throughout the years. I just played at the Celebrate Red Hook Festival with an artist I play with named Andy Ray Healy. I play guitar in her band as a sideman, and that was really fun. It was it was right along the water. It was underneath this giant kind of crane. It's a huge metal structure. It was really cool, and there were fireworks during our set.
Oh my god!
Which was a lot of fun, although a little hard to keep the rhythm with this going on all around you.
You're looking at your drummer like,
right.
You okay today?
Exactly.
What is up with you, man?
Well, it's funny. I don't know if I should admit this on camera, but I went and saw Motley Crue last night at the Barclays Center.
They have fans,
and I'm one of them. They have this giant pyrotechnics and these huge explosions, but they always happen on the beat with them. It was equally loud when we were playing in Red Hook, but it had nothing to do with what we were playing. So.
That's incredible.
Plus, it was like a country rock band, so it was a little.
Well, I promise there's going to be no fireworks.
All right, good to know.
On Sunday,
right?
But not to backtrack before we head out, but your record that's coming out. What's the name?
Primetime.
Primetime.
Yeah.
Cool. And do you have like a website you could tell people where to find your music?
JeffLitmanmusic.com.
Jeff Litman, Litman.
Yes.
Cool. All right, Jeff Litman is performing that's Sunday the 16th.
Yeah.
And, thanks for coming out and doing this. We really appreciate trying to get artists, better known, better acquainted with audiences.
That's the struggle.
Yeah. I kind of like the relaxed approach with just, people hanging out and chit-chatting about, like, their lives a little bit,
Yeah.
So it's a little bit more organic than a tweet.
Yeah, right. Somebody actually talking and making sentences.
Two guys hanging out, talking about music they like, and
Absolutely.
So we're at Sage Music School. I just want to point out that Sage Music and LIC Concerts are in partnership. They're doing this awesome thing and putting out these concerts Tuesdays and Sundays throughout the summer and September. And I run a company called Elevator 9. And we're here to do the interviews, and I just want to thank you again so much, man. I know musicians, artists, we're all busy, and appreciate the interview.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.